Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Mueller, I had the opportunity to go to Russia with Kodal last couple of weeks ago, and the FSB deputy director met with us and the head of counterintelligence. They said that they had sent a memo to you, or I believe it was to the FBI, and I presume you got it, in 2011 about the Tsarnaevs, that they'd been radicalized and they were fearful that they may be some threat either to us or to Russia if they returned, and wanted some information about when they would return. To ask you this, first, did you get that paper from the FSB or from the counterintelligence about the Tsarnaevs? Number one. Number two, why could you not follow up on it further than you did, and is there legislation needed to be passed to allow you to do that that would be keeping within the rights of American citizens?
In response to number one, yes, we did get what we call a terror line through our legat in Moscow in March of 2011. Agent was assigned to it, and agent did a thorough investigation, ran through all the records checks, went to Bunker Hill Community College where he had spent time. I did neighborhood research before he then interviewed the parents and finally interviewed Tamerlan himself. After all those efforts, we did not find any indication that he was involved with terrorism, nor did we find predication for further investigative efforts such as wiretap or what have you. We did, I think, all the investigation that could have been done. Any additional information at that time, I do not believe, would have turned up more evidence of his ultimate radicalization.
Lawmakers in Washington are investigating the government's response to the bombings and whether anything could have been done differently to prevent the attack.
What congressional leaders really wanted to know is what went wrong.
We support you in your efforts.
Hours of testimony.
There should be a constant process of improvement. We should be always examining what we're doing and moving it to the next level.
The Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis and others answer questions from the House Committee for Homeland Security, trying to uncover more about the marathon bombings. Davis told committee members he would have liked to have known that Russian authorities warned the FBI Tamerlan Tsarnaev was a radical extremist. Davis says there were officers in his department working with the U.S. Terrorism Task Force, but the information on Tsarnaev wasn't exchanged. He said there were failures in communication before the bombing. Joe Lieberman also testified, saying the attacks could have been stopped.
Though it would not have been easy, it was possible to have prevented the terrorist attacks in Boston. In a literal sense, the Homeland Security system, we must acknowledge that we built after 9/11 to protect the American people from terrorist attacks, failed to stop the Tsarnaev brothers.
And now to Boston this evening, where tears filled a federal courtroom today. Jurors in the Boston bombing trial weeping as they heard the story of an 8-year-old. Prosecutors finishing their case with the story of Martin Richard, one of 4 who lost their lives after the bombings. And the image, you can see the boy with his family watching the marathon and Dzhokhar Tsarnaev just a few feet away where he would allegedly place the bomb.
That's the Richard family watching the Boston Marathon. 8-year-old Martin by the fence, mom to the left with the brown hat and the big smile. But look closely, lurking in the background in that white hat behind the tree, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. The government resting their case with this image and a description of how the bomb killed little Martin. The jury today in tears. The prosecution out to prove Tsarnaev acted on his own murderous impulses.